So today I wanted to share and add an extension to yesterday when I was talking about self-forgiveness, right? And there's something that kept nagging at me about that, and I looked a little further into it. So that's one thing I want to elaborate on in the beginning of this video. I didn't go down a rabbit hole, but I just peeked in the rabbit hole, like just took a little peekaboo. And I wanted to talk about that, to get that off my brain and brain dump and share as I do that. And the second part of the video will be about my racist share when I had racist thoughts and prejudiced thoughts. And the main reason for that is because of the things that are happening in the world right now and things that are being done and said and stuff like that. And because that's not something I agree with or like. But I'm going to start with sharing my part of that. And because I've noticed the comfort level to share this with others, whether it be like in the workplace environment, people that you meet here and there, are afraid to talk about some things. But when you open up about it, it's like, oh, you know, you get in some deep conversations about people's background, history, that you'll be shocked about. And there are some that genuinely are not proud of. But that's the way they were raised. That's the way things were for them. So got my lunch. Get out of here and give me a minute. Self-forgiveness, from what I'm looking at, just like anything else, can be from many different levels, many different aspects. And, this here is different than the way I talked about it yesterday on my video, I think, in a way where it really had me thinking. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's a lot of psychological and psych literature on this here topic, self-forgiveness. I wanted to give some things that you can reference to if you're interested, and articles that'll get you started down that road and say, you know, if it's really, really troubling you and you just can't let go and you feel like you're the worst person in the world, regardless, you know, and you use your religious beliefs and you still can't let it go, and you just can't let it go to forgive yourself. Therapy is the way. They are trained clinical psychologists, trauma specialists, psychologists, all these things. You just have to find somebody that fits your personality, find somebody that's targeting exactly the things that are bothering you, what you're saying. And as I got into this, I was like, you know, we talk about, was it 21, 22 a day, and wonder why the rate is so high of people taking out their own lives or taking out others. I think this might play a part in it too, as well, because when they talk here, it says, you know, the components, like self-forgiveness for military veterans. You know how hard that can be, you know, standing by those during, I know, Iraq and Afghanistan, and the little kids asking for candy and they, you know, strapped with whatever. So for military veterans, clients in drug and alcohol, substance abuse, clients that have like convicted a crime, the gambling, the sexual addictions, hurting spouses, whether they are the same sex, opposite sex, same age, or those that you're not supposed to hurt, right? So self-forgiveness, this some deep shit right here. And then we have those that lie and still say, well, I'm getting counseling, and they're not really. But then they put all that burden on you, or try to put that burden on you if you let them, of why they can't get over certain things. So this is one article I have. A therapeutic model of self. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to go on the surface of self-forgiveness with intervention strategies for counselors. Blah 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 blah. They are equipped to get you to that point to feeling better. There's nothing. I'm a believer in, when you go to counseling, you still have to do your work yourself, right? When you take medications, you still have to do the work yourself. You can't just say, I'm taking that pill and it's gonna poof, take everything away. Or I'm gonna take that illegal drug, smoke some weed and do some shoot up, and it's gonna take everything away, right? And then you like, I'm gonna drink, have my drink. Can't to the point I can't focus, and it's gonna take it all away. You gotta go to counseling, but don't just say I want counseling. You gotta be honest. You gotta say, like, let me see, I know when we were active duty, I reached out to Military One Source, and I was like, I need help. And I had to tell the truth of what type of problems I was having. I didn't know what kind of help I needed, because they are the experts, right? And they, just from a couple of words that I said, and I had to be honest, I couldn't sugarcoat the shit, regardless of how bad it may feel or whatever. I had to be honest so I can get the most out of that therapy. And which helped so much. It just made me so freaking happy to do those exercises and blah 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 blah, right? And but then again, later years down the line, I saw a therapist, and I'm sitting there giving him therapy. I said a couple words, and it took him to a whole nother state of mind. A whole nother state of mind. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I walked out of that office like, ay, 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 ay. And then I had another one where they had an hour a day. Give an hour. And so I was like, let me try this in Florida, right? And see what they about. And boy, yeah, he was about the money. Give me your insurance before we talk, and blah, 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 blah. Let's cut this shit short, and just the way he was talking, I was like, this ain't the one. So you got to go through, some, and you know what's going on inside of your body and your mind and your soul and what you have been through, and who's going to target what inside of you, so that you can get to that, what I was talking about, that self-forgiveness thing at your level on your topic. You know what I'm saying? So I know I got to stop saying, you know what I'm saying? But, all right, I'm gonna leave it at that. The writing here is too small to right now, even with I printed to, I wanted to give some resources that you can look up and get a head start, but just in case you wanted to, but you can do that on your own if you feel, according to how you feel. Self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, radical acceptance, accepting motherfuckers for who they are. When it's difficult and it doesn't align with who you are, all that stuff is hard. But when you get started and you start digging into it, and for yourself and for your feelings, not what somebody else tell you, and you need to do this and you need to do that, and you crazy and you need to do this different and stop doing this and stop doing that. Fuck those motherfuckers. You get into it for you and who you are. And it can be done where you could pick your head up and stop holding your head down to the ground in between your legs and stuff. Woo, that was something else that I was reading, but you can do it. And I'm talking to myself as well. I'm definitely talking to myself, always talking to myself, just brain dumping. And so now I wanted to go into another topic, which is when you live in the real, like in the world, and you're around so many different people, you don't watch the news. I don't even watch it at all. I watch clips of what somebody summed up about it. And I hope that's not a flat tire right here. Because I heard bump, bump, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna share my prejudice in racial times that I felt as though I was feeling those feelings and adapting to those behaviors. One, I remember when oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I'm saying this it helps to open up the lines of communication, and I think that's what needs to happen, rather than saying stop talking about certain things because it's making people uncomfortable. And I think that's where that self-forgiveness come in. Like, you didn't ask to be born here into the families that you've been born into. Oh, I forgot to add that part into it, where some things had to be mandatory had to abide by it. There is a, I think it's called Scott White Belly something, where he does real live interviews with people of all different backgrounds and stuff like that. And one that really got me and stuck with me was the person's family had killed somebody, and they made the young teenage boy go bury them or something, whether it was the dog or the person. But it had to do with color. And it's so bad. It's gonna, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I know and can speak of what has happened. So let me share my part. Like, yeah, I got prejudice in me too that can be activated or have been activated in the past, when I didn't realize. I had to realize what was happening. And so my son was hanging out with this little boy, and I was like, those Haitians, you know how those Haitians are, or no, I didn't say you know how those Haitians are. He was too young to know how they were. But I had already planted in my head from what I heard about, I was scared that they were going to teach him witchcraft and voodoo stuff, right? And I got real scared, but because my son was like real close to this little boy in Florida. And my son, even at that young age, he had his own mind, and he snapped on me and he said, "Mom, don't you ever, that's my friend," you know. And I don't appreciate you saying that about my friend, and that's going to be my friend. I don't know, he went off on me. He just went slap off on me, and I felt like shit. And I was like, I'm going to, so I had to address this with my son, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't want you to feel that way. Is coming from my insecurities of how I grew up and what I was taught about, you know, these people. And I remember on one base we were giving a where you put your stuff out and people buy it, and all the Haitians started calling all it. It seemed like that's what they were doing, and they just started stealing from us or whatever. And so then that's why I never, now today who I am, I hate that word. Not hate is a strong word, but I don't use, and I try not to use the word all, A-L-L. And so then later on with the same group of people, years down the line, I was like, these are some beautiful people. Like, I got to know them. They were just like me. Some of them had their beliefs, but it's just their beliefs, right? But I didn't tell my son, shut up, you're the kid, you listen to me. I'm so glad I didn't do that to him with that situation. I let him be who he was and who he loved to hang out with and find his own identity. You know what I'm saying? And I just had to look into myself and better myself because of those beliefs that I had. I'm just glad he has a strong mind, even since a kid. Okay, so another time I felt as though I was, that word prejudice or racist or whatever you want to use, just being against people, was during 9/11. I became real, I could feel myself becoming, I don't know if hateful was the word, but I was hurt, I was mad during 9/11. And during that time in my life, we were stationed in Germany. I stayed glued to AFN, the news network. Glued. They couldn't pull me away. And so during this time, the soldiers, majority of the soldiers were activated, and I didn't see mine until like, I think a Saturday, Sunday. They would let him come home for like 1 or 2 days, and he would say how people were throwing manure on the trucks. He was driving 88 mic trucks, those big heck trucks, and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And then, I remember taking the bullet train, and I looked at some people and rolled my eyes, like just hateful stuff, like nasty stuff, like what the hell. And then I thought about it, and I was like watching all this news, and they talking real bad about the Muslims and this and that. And then I had to think back to when I was growing up, and the Muslims were the best people the ones I knew, and the Sunni Muslims and the Nation of Islam was the best people I ever talked to in New York, going to high school and after college, and like they were like respectful. Whenever just talking about I was always able to learn something from them. Even down to real estate, down to life, how to eat, how to think, the way they think, and blah blah blah. And I caught myself. It took a while though. It took a while, and I was like, why am I thinking like this? This ain't true. This is selected, isolated to me incident. So then I had to check myself again during that time. I had to, check yourself before you wreck yourself, because you don't believe this stuff like that's being put into your brain, because ain't no way I'm gonna hate who has been good to me. So I just wanted to bring that up. Society has a way of, for me, when I was watching the news and stuff, I could see the hate, how it builds up. And then being black and watching black people exploited all over the news, killing and all this other stuff. And then eventually I'm like, white folks, they so freaking evil, experiencing certain things, even growing up in the ghetto, and how, for crime, how many cop cars load the whole neighborhood up for one person. And then it's a good thing being in the work environment, because I'm like, dang, this person got the same personality as me, and I don't feel hate from them, but they not white, they not black. I mean, they different than me, from a whole different background. So that's just my spill I wanted to mention today. And so a lot of times when we talk about our experiences, I've had some real deep stuff come to me and say, Emily, I was raised where I thought black people had tails like animals until they went to college, blah blah blah. Or they went into town and it's like, there go those people. It was black people. those kind of people. I forgot how they told their story. Then I had another one tell me, yeah, they grew up, the grandparents or the parents or somebody or the dads were bigots. And I say, what's a bigot? I just needed it explained. I know what a bigot is, but like, tell me, prejudice, killing people. It's a lot. And I think everybody is not like that, but some people are holding hurt in their heart, like, damn, I hate I grew up with this type of family. I know what was wrong growing up in this type of family, or I didn't grow up in this type of family, but I am feeling hateful towards certain people. I mean, it goes all different types of ways, right? Left, up, down, circle, whatever. And you know what? I'm gonna pay attention to this traffic. I'm gonna leave it at that right now, but I just wanted to bring that out. I think that helps open the lines of communication on all levels, even within the Black community. I'm being too light, and then I take it seriously, like, how am I going to turn myself dark skinned? They killing light skinned babies, like, oh shit, my baby came out light, I'm gonna smother it with a pillow, stuff like that. Or white people saying you need to be on our side. It's just white or Black people, and you got lighter skin, so you need to hate the darker skin within your race and be on our side and help us hate them. Stuff. It's deep. We know it's deep. That's why it's been going on and still going on for so many years, but we can't change people. We have to radically accept that people are going to be who they are and know how to protect our own individual selves. Because people think that it's okay. I don't think I was born in this earth to be taken out by anyone, not even by myself or by anyone else. Like, I don't understand that. And then it's like I have to protect myself from you trying to take me out, or my children, or a Black boy, which is my son. Like, I don't like it, but I am so willing to talk about it. I'm so willing to listen about it, as get to that point of self-forgiveness, forgive myself for the things that I did not know. Have a good day. Peace. Of course, something else just shoots up in my mind, as I cut the video off, and I don't want to leave this part out to attach to this video, is that people are so attached on to other people with that control and that manipulation thing, to where you will think like I think, you will do as I do, you will say as I say. And the reason I bring this up is, my freshman year in college, I went upstate New York, and the upperclassmen told us this story where there was a young white girl that was talking to Black people. Upstate New York is where they had the migrant workers during this time, and they slashed her neck from ear to ear and put on her notepad on her book, nigger lover, out in the field, in the grass. And so that's another part of this. You know, those that never went through it, those that never seen it or experienced, I understand it's like horrible to you, and you believe that racism doesn't exist, and you've never seen anything of this nature, or you hide it, like in my class when people had to write down on a cue card things that you would never tell anyone, and they, you know, read it out loud with nobody's name on it. You hide it, and you know what happened, because it's like anything you have to hide is not good. Like, why do you have to hide that you're sleeping with a child and you're an adult? Why do you have to hide that your father, your grandfather, or your mother, somebody killed somebody, and you gotta hide it? When you gotta hide something ain't right with it, right? I don't know, that's what I'm thinking. So that's another part of it too. And then those that want to continue with it, that's fine. We just got to know how to protect ourselves from you. Those that are trying to get rid of that guilt of participating to help, because, you know, they love mama, they love daddy, they love the aunt, the uncle, the cousins, the whomever, and or their best friends, and they did things that they were not proud of, and it haunts them to this day. Self-forgiveness comes back into this, as well as looking at being able to talk about race and prejudice in a normal, dignified, professional, respect, and dignity way. That's it for real now. I used to try to whistle back in the days. I can't do it. Woo, 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 woo. You know, in the beginning of Don't Worry, Be Happy, when they whistle. Oh my goodness. I wish I could whistle. Anyway, don't worry, be happy.